Hello there again, pre-calc students. This is Mrs. Y speaking. Today we'll be talking about our sixth lesson in this Unit 4, which is about rational equations and rational inequalities. Now, when you think of the word rational, you're really thinking about fractions. Turning here to our first example of a rational equation, our goal here is to knock out the denominators. Now, to do that, we just want to multiply that so that they would cross out or cancel out. So here you might be able to recognize right away here with our x squared minus 6x plus 8 that we can factor that. After doing so, we can see that it would be x minus 4 and x minus 2. Now we can recognize that this is related over here to the denominators of these other fractions. So now we want to multiply the whole problem by these two factors of x minus 4 and x minus 2. Doing so, we want to take a look at our first fraction part here, which is x over x minus 2. Right away we can see that x minus 2 would cancel out here with this one. That would leave us with an x times x minus 4. Now moving on to our second fraction, 1 over x minus 4. We can see that these two would cancel out, leaving us with an x minus 2. Now we want to take a look here on our right side of our equal sign, which is this 2 over x minus 4 times x minus 2. We can see that that would cancel out here with both other factors that we're multiplying by, which would leave us with just a 2. Now we want to go ahead and move ahead and solve for x. Here we can distribute this x through. That would leave us with an x squared minus 4x. Now taking a look over here, we can rewrite this as plus x minus 2 equals 2. We can combine our like terms of a negative 4x and a positive x, which would give us x squared minus 3x minus 2 equals 2. We want to bring this 2 over to this side, which would give us a x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Now that we have this, we can actually factor this quadratic once again. When we break that up, we would actually have to think about what two integers would get us a negative 4 when they're multiplied, but when added together would give us a negative 3. After spending some time thinking about that, we can see that it would be a negative 4 and a positive 1. Now here we want to set each side equal to 0. So x minus 4 equal to 0 and x plus 1 equal to 0. Solving for x in both cases, we would get x equals 4 and x equals negative 1, and those would be our solutions. Now for our last example here of this lesson is we would see this rational inequality. What we first want to do right away, this would be pretty tricky here to solve algebraically for our different values of x. So what we want you to focus on here is plugging this whole entire inequality right here, this fraction part, into your graphing calculator. Once you have done that, we want to just take a second and pick out our x values just here by looking at this that would make each factor equal 0. So here we'll just take it one at a time. So we want to figure out what value of x would give us 0 when plugged into a negative 2x minus 10 equal to 0. When we solve for x, we should actually get a negative 5. Moving on to our next factor of 3 minus x, setting it equal to 0, we could see after solving for x that x would equal 3. Now moving on to our next one, which would be x minus 5 equals 0. We solve for x, which would equal 5. And finally, x minus 2, setting that equal to 0, solving for x, would give us a positive 2. Now right away we want to write down this number line of our values of x, which gave us 0 in each of these factors. So here we'll put down a negative 5, we'll mark down 0. As I was saying here, we want to put down 0 on our number line. I know even though it wasn't a 0 on here, sometimes it just helps us to be able to center our number line and really be able to tell what's going on. So after we have 0, we'll put down a 2, a 3, and a 5. Now after you have plugged in this big rational inequality here into your graphing calculator, we're going to take a look at the table that you would get. We want to take a look at each of these x values and what's happening to the y values around them and in between. So here we want to take a look at what's happening when x is negative 5 to the y values that are below it. So here in our graphing calculator, when we're taking a look at negative 5, we can see that as x continues to get more negative on our number line, our y values are positive. So we're going to mark that here with a plus sign. Now we want to take a look at what's happening in between negative 5 and 0. Now looking at our y values between our x's of negative 5 and 0, we can see that they're negative. Now taking a look between 0 and 2, we're seeing that they're still negative. Now between 2 and 3, we'll see that it's positive. And between 3 and 5, it's switching back to negative. And from 5 on, we can see that it's back to positive. Now that here we've marked on our number line, what's really happening is we want to compare that plus and minus here with our less than 0. So we're taking a look at our negative signs. So here our final answer and solutions would be when x is greater than negative 5 and less than 2, our values are less than 0. And when x is greater than 3 and less than a positive 5. Whoops, here. Wrote down the wrong thing. There we go. So that would be our solution here to these inequalities. Hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. If you have any questions, once again, you can see me before or after school, or you can set up a time to meet. Otherwise, we'll see you in class tomorrow.